So, so we're gonna be switching gears here. This is a little bit more of a serious topic, but I think it's
Okay.
valid given the past. I mean, it's not super serious. It's not like Blizzard serious, but it is something to talk about. It's not. Um, that's
Some good tea.
just to break the ice. Previously this week, this past week or the week before, whatever. Sony Santa Monica, they were getting a little bit of heat as far as God of War because I guess there's an old release date where God of War should have been out by now, and they were being harassed, and they said something on their social media as far as like be nice to us, like kindness, decency, yada yada. And I was listening to David Jaffe's podcast, Gavin Games, and he does the YouTube stuff as well. And he has some really interesting stuff to say about it as far as like how some people are like, look, fuck, like I'm a customer. Like if if there's something that I want, I'm going to express it, and I understand both sides of the fence. Obviously, when it comes to just full on disrespect and like verbal abuse, I don't
Death
agree
threats.
with death threats and shit like that. Like obviously that's like no one should be doing that. But I think there's a bigger conversation I had here when it comes to these developers having access to social media and how it's affecting them. So I'll dive more into my point of what I'm saying. But I'll start here with this article from IGN, and this is one example of all this is the Return to Monkey Island director will no longer be posting about the game due to online abuse. So he says here in quote, I won't be posting on about the game. The joy of sharing has been driven from me. So continuing, it says, as reported by Video Games Chronicle, Gibbert said on a blog post, the entirety of which has been shut down, the joy of the game has been driven from me. It isn't the first time the developer has been forced to defend the game following fan backlash. Says in quote, I'm shutting down the comments. People are just being mean and I'm having to delete personal attack comments, Gilbert said. It's an amazing game and everyone on the team is very proud of it. Play it or don't play it, but don't ruin it for anyone else. I won't be posting anymore about the game, as I said already. It says here, Gilbert and developer Terrible Toy Box has received criticism over the game's art style, which the fans have criticized for not matching the original games that were released more than 30 years ago. So Gilbert said previously that the Return of Monkey Island may not be the art style you wanted or were expecting, but it's the art style I wanted, end quote. He said that the point of the games was never to have pixel art, but to instead use state-of-the-art tech and art to push the franchise forward, claiming that even if he'd stuck around to make Monkey Island 3, it wouldn't have looked like the previous games, end quote. So a couple of things my thoughts on this. There's maybe like 2, maybe 3 points, but mainly 2 points. The first point is when it comes to these, I feel like in my mind this originally was like a stereotype, and then when I watch these interviews and like E3 interviews of developers, you're like, oh, these developers, they really are like to themselves. Like they really are like they're very uncomfortable on camera, responding to like even interview questions.
Lack of social skills.
Lots of social skills, and that is not even including online, right? Not even including talking to a community online.
Yeah.
So when it comes to me, when it comes to like certain developers that obviously there's ridiculous focus needed to make games like that, and then it takes a certain person, certain temperament, and a lot of these folks, it's just like doing things out in the open, or just like responding to different things out in the open. It's not their thing. So imagine them getting connected to a social media account or having a social media account, and then just freaking out when you're getting these comments, and not even and let's just cut away obviously the abuse ones, because we obviously don't want those. But even ones where just people are just angry of whatever decision that they made and them not being able to take it.
Passionate criticism.
Yeah. So I guess the first point / question is like is there? I feel like in today's age, do people have the access to these developers of making these games? 30, 40 years ago, this wasn't even a conversation. You know what I mean? It was like you play the game, you like it or you don't like it, and you're like, fuck. You know what I mean? But now it's like you have access to people to say like, why did you do this? Why did you do that? You know what I mean? And these people are like, oh, yeah, they can't take it. So it's like, is this access too much? Should these developers like? I wonder if these companies have even talked to them, say like, hey, you may or may not receive some heat from this. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of the age of social media today. Like, I wonder if that conversation is even happening. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that point?
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm gonna have a different opinion than you guys about this, but my first take is I don't think the access is too much. A lot of times, of course, I don't agree with like death threats or like violence acts on social media, but I feel like sometimes people are way a little bit too sensitive. I mean, you don't need to have a social media account. You can make it private. The way you have access to all these people is because you allow access to the people.
I agree.
So it's just like, okay. And also, it's catch-22. I mean, I saw the Sonic Hedgehog trailer. You know, I saw the first one.
Yeah.
Social media got a backlash, and we all got a better Sonic movie out of it because of it.
True.
You know, because it served the fans. Because at the end of the day, what you're making is a product for consumers. And we are the consumers. We want what we want. So when it comes to a game that people are excited for, I understand there is creative licensees that you want to express in your art. But if the consumer doesn't want it, then they're just giving you feedback on what they want to actually buy your game.
Right.
At the end of the day. So can it go a step too far? Of course. But I think it's actually good, especially when it comes to these games and the developers that are getting half-baked products. You know, we have Battlefield 2042. Not, you know, all these AAA titles are, it just...
Halo.
Halo, like we talked earlier too. Maybe even the next Bethesda game, who knows? So it's just like being able to have a voice and giving feedback I think is vital. And the idea of like our voices should be silenced because it makes somebody uncomfortable or they just want to focus on the positive and not necessarily the negative is not something that I naturally want to adhere to. And it's like, well, these are people, you know, they're working on a game. It's a story that you get all the time. My question is like, everybody's got a job.
Yeah.
So when I hear this, like, okay, yeah, man, I know you have a job, but I have a job too.
Yeah.
We all know what it's like to be called in and late. Everybody has done crunch before. I'm not proving that you should do crunch, but the phenomenon is not necessarily unique to the gaming industry itself.
Yeah.
And so it just, I was just like, and especially if you asking me to buy a product, I kind of wanted it to be of a certain quality. Because like, you can't just blame me that someday that you decide to do your job and then decide to add co-op to the game for whatever reasons. And then like, I get mad at it. And then it's like, all right, now you don't want me to say anything. Granted, there is the wheels of bureaucracy in indie industry. There's managers, those oversights, they may have control of this as well. So I don't think the fault is solely on one person, but there are decisions that have to be made. So circling back, I just do not think it's overreaching to have access to developers, especially if they're making the accounts public and sharing information. You don't have to show anything, you know, at the end of the day. So that's kind of my stance real quick.
Well
And
said.
Yeah.
Well said. No, I agree. Well said. What are your thoughts, Arthur?
To me, this is like kind of like a point you hit. This like a big picture. This is more of a state of social media than a state of gaming. You see stuff like this almost anywhere in the entertainment industry, in the music industry, especially in the movie industry. Like we said, Sonic was changed because they were cyberbullied. I don't agree to the cyberbullying, but I'm happy with the results. And even then, you take out the social media aspect of it. Again, this is.
Is it cyberbullying when you like give feedback over the internet, or is it just negative? Sorry to interrupt you in your point.
Well,
but
for me, it's because I take in point everything.
Yeah.
Like though we don't like the death threats, they were definitely there. Yeah, I mean, like it's not the norm, but you know. If you're just at your computer, it's like, oh, cool. How'd they like a trailer? Fucking kill yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think when it's not even, I'm gonna have to go back to your point, but I was gonna say like I think when it's not even feedback at all.
Yeah.
It's just.
It just
like you're talking about someone
just angry typing.
Yeah, like if you find a picture of like that developer's wife and you post it, like I know where you, or a map, or like I know where you live. Like,
yeah, there's definitely lines, but if you say like something like, "Yo, this is trash," or "This is terrible," "This sucks," I mean, gamers. I mean, our art form is our critiques are very venomous since like Xbox Live, right?
It's just my thing. I think
it's gotta break it down. It's like, wait, what do you mean? I just didn't like the level 3, you know. But your initial thing is like, it's trash.
Yeah, I got you. Continue.
My thing is though, it's though it's the extreme, I just think those types of responses are the loudest. Like I mean, like I'm because like there's definitely constructive criticisms. I'm just saying a social media team or an individual is more likely to pay attention with like a potential doxing than like, hey, I think if you do ray tracing here or there, I just think those just get more attention to a point. How can they not? The other thing is too, like they said, like to Joel, he said this is the state of social media. To me, this is not only more of just case just social media in general. Again, back to my point. This is my just thing of entertainment being again, even to a point. To your point, criticized even in person. Like for example, go to BlizzCon and to our face, oh, you guys don't have phones, and then like us just going, oh, is this a practical joke? Fuck you. You know what I mean? So it's weird. My thing is,
Gotta hold them accountable.
I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it, but this is a state of where we are. And again, this isn't a gaming. This isn't truly necessarily a gaming thing, or even an industry thing. This is a social media thing. You could just be any person. Like, I like blank, and I'm just sorry, it's not a good thing. But this is a state of the world we live in. You're gonna get somebody say you're gonna get something. Oh, you like blank? Go fuck yourself. Like that's just a state. If you're to a point for me, but here's my give and take. To my thing is, you really as an adult in 2022 can't be surprised if you post something and people shit on it, but at the same time you kind of have the right to go, hey, you know what, go fuck yourself too. Like here's like we mentioned this before, I think we tapped on this before. Like I would totally respect like a developer or a PR team, they just came out saying, hey, so we're tired, we're tired of like our developers being threatened with doxes. Go fuck yourself. The game's gonna come out when they come out. Stop bothering us so we can focus on the game. I would respect that. I would respect if a PR team just goes fully like scorched earth policy and saying, hey, for the fans are like to legitimate fans are excited for this game. They're giving us constructive criticism. We thank you, but for everyone else, go walk in the traffic. We're gonna keep working on this game. Yeah, I would respect that.
I mean, I hear you, but they're not gonna mess up those sales, right?
They're not. That's
like,
so. But that's what I'm saying. And I know it's never gonna happen.
That's your
but
fan base.
It's never gonna happen. But like. And the thing, it's a hard road to walk, because even to a point, if you're not even posting stuff about the game, you're still gonna get crap. Like case in point, Dying Light 2. Remember, because Dying Light 2 is technically kind of on the curtails of like Dead Island 2, a game that was destroyed by production hell. So when we see a trailer for Dying Light 2, and then it's just darkness and silence for years, and people are like, is this game even going to exist? And the social media team just trolling. Here's a frog.
But I think even another point too is that they didn't just troll though. They took it like it was a case study. Tell me why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So not only just fuck yourself too, tell me why it sucks. And people, and when people responded, you take, you make a diagram, right? People that just say it's trash, but they don't give any context. People that say it's trash, but they give detailed context. You break these things down, and I feel like some companies they're not really taking this data, and they're not really analyzing it appropriately. They want to make not all companies.
Yeah.
I think some companies, they just want to just take all the bad things and they want to spin it. Oh, hey, don't be mean. Or they want to do like a gaslighting response mentality when it's like, wait, look, like, but like when you trim the fat of all the I'm gonna kill you, but and take all of this data of people saying, no, this is bad because I can't even do this, and if this person has a point, and say you have 500 responses of around the same thing, okay, well, what are we doing here? Because I think there is a point of contention when it comes to, like you said, Church, as far as like making art, like. You're not making art for yourself. You're making it to sell it to a customer that is familiar with this franchise. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you have to take that into account. So while the creator is saying that, he did that for himself, that's a mistake to me. You didn't make this game for yourself, my guy. You made it for people to buy it so you can still have a job. That has to be taken into context when you're making art. You know what I mean? So I agree. I agree with both of you guys when it comes to just like, hey, one, like, respond in a way where you are taking information, because all of this is information, right? All of this is information. All this information can help you make a better game where people will buy it more, because we've seen time and time again, when a game is good, business is good. Elden Ring, the game was fantastic. It's like the highest. Is it still the highest selling game this year?
Probably.
Possibly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when it's good, it's good. So it's like, and when it's bad, it's like learn from your mistakes. I think one example is, you guys remember the game 13? It was like this shell shaded like spy game. It came out way back when.
It's not like Sudia 51.
No,
I'm thinking of 7.
Rings a bell.
yeah, I don't think it was Suda 51, but like they had a sequel, I guess, later down the road, and they took away the shell shade technology, and it was just like regular CG, and people were like, "What the fuck?" Like, this is like one of the main things that I liked about the game, and their response was, "We are very sorry." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we're sorry. Like, we tried something, it didn't work. We didn't listen to our customers. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the opposite of this, where it's like, look, are we just going to be defensive, or are we going to approach this in a very like case study format where it's like, okay, like there's a difference between I don't like this and like, hey, like this, I don't even like this art, like this art style, I don't understand it, like I don't like, it's like I don't even want to play it, like
Final Fantasy 14, another example too. That the MMO had a complete overhaul. Like just a quick reminder, the Final Fantasy 14
I
MMO
do.
we see today is not the one that launched.
yeah.
No.
So I said like 13. That was another case study you're mentioning.
Oh man, they did
of,
so
like-
much homework
Of
on that
like,
shit.
hey, we listen to you guys. You got, like, people have been mentioning X, Y, and Z. Hey, Drill, you might know this. What's it called when someone like takes data and does like a word map? Is it called a word map? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
You mean
it's
like a diagram?
It's like coding. It's a certain.
it's like a Venn diagram, but like a Venn diagram for words. It's like the most.
Yeah.
It's like the most common words. It's like the bigger the word in this, the result is the more times it was mentioned.
It's a form of coding.
Yeah. So like you're saying, Joe, there are cases like, again, like I think that's the best. It's difficult, but it might be worth the effort. Waiting through the crap of all the crap that's just crap of the internet. Let's just be honest. The internet's been around for some time. If you're shocked at scrapping the internet, where the fuck have you been?
Right. Right.
So waiting through the crap and saying like, hey, you know what? Ignoring all this, people are mentioning lighting. People are mentioning hey, like there's too there's too many god rays. There's blocking. People are raising their walls. Like again, like 13, like Final Fantasy. There are examples that can be case studies of waiting through the crap and listening. Hey, a lot of people are mentioning all these these feature, this example. Maybe let's work on that.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've said time and time again, No Man's Sky, another example. They listened,
Yeah.
they put the work in, and then they had a much better product. So yeah, I think it is kind of like you're walking a line, you know what I mean? But I think at the end of the day, like you guys said, it's like, look, at the end of the day, we're selling it to a customer. We're not making this game for ourselves, so you have to have the customer in mind. If you don't have the customer in mind, what are you doing?
If you're a chef, you're not making a burger for you. You're making a burger for what they ordered.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I like cheeseburgers. Here's a Beyond Burger with goat milk. I'm good.
but it's what I wanted. Yeah.
So, yeah. So like, again, like, so the point to get to Trisha's points, like this is for, again, art. Even like looking at artists, this isn't. You're not doing like a self portrait or a self project. This is arguably treated like a commission.
Yeah.
It's like we're asking for 92, though we can't make, it's not exactly 100 point to a commission if we're asking for X, Y, and Z, but there is a case to say, well, the customers are expecting X, Y, and Z. So it's like, again, like 13, a cell shaded game. It's like, okay, now we got CGI. Whoa, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. So, if you thought we were done with EA,